Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2023 Young Entrepreneurs of the World conference here. We welcome you. It's a virtual gathering of aspiring young entrepreneurs from almost any field of study and global experts offering their sound business advice. We're very pleased this morning. Every conference has to have a leadoff hitter, and we're very thrilled to welcome today Samantha Skey. She is the CEO of SheKnows Media, and Sam joins us today from Princeton, New Jersey. And we're going to talk a little bit about building an ecosystem and how that's different than a network, which is, and I think we'll find it very interesting from a distinction standpoint. So, Sam, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled. I'm excited to talk with you guys today.
Yeah, it's exciting. We've got a big lineup here of thought leaders and all sorts of interesting topics, and what a great way to start off our conference this morning here with you. You know, one of the things we talk about, and as part of our earlier discussions, you know, you look at the shape of the world today and how you kind of move from really the concept of, you know, shareholders to really stakeholders, right? And as a, you know, CEOs, as you look through all of what happens nowadays, they can't really be an island onto themselves, right? They need to essentially be an enterprise leader.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes one of the words when you think about ecosystems is the concept of stewardship.
Mm-hmm.
Being a good steward of that ecosystem. And you look at the ecosystem of a particular business, and again, the word stakeholder kind of comes to mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only potentially investors or shareholders, but competitors, customers, suppliers, governments, and probably even most importantly, maybe the local community as well. So, for our audience today, what kind of steps would you recommend for a business or an entrepreneurial leader to kind of take a look at starting up and establishing maybe a solid ecosystem for their business?
Well, I think it's I started conceiving of ecosystem versus network after meeting with lots and lots of entrepreneurs, you know, in New York City, but also through various communities I support, where we're talking to entrepreneurs abroad or different industries that are trying to create entrepreneurialism within their organizations. And one of the things that came up over and over was like, I know I have to build a network, or I have a strong network. And eventually I started asking, like, what does that mean to you? What is the network? Is it a lot of, and what I kept hearing was it's a lot of people who I know who would help me. And I thought, okay, that there's certainly truth to that. You want to have a great community of people who want to see you thrive and be successful. But why do they want to make you successful? Sort of, you know, became a question in the back of my head. Because they like you, because you worked for them, because they owe you a favor, because they know a former boss, a former employee of yours. Like, why do they want to help you? Why are they invested in your, as a stakeholder, why are they invested in your success? And I started thinking of it as your network needs to be robust and alive and active. And to me, that started to feel more like an ecosystem where there are different roles and is a value exchange and between different kind of stakeholders within the ecosystem, or different units of activity within the ecosystem, and everybody plays a part. And so I was thinking, instead, I started asking entrepreneurs, like, within your network, what is your value to members of your network? What's your value to a vendor? What is your, it's not just money, or if it is just money, then you become, it's not a network, it's a transaction, or it's not the greater meaning of network, or the greater meaning of ecosystem as a rethinking of network. And I started saying, like, what value are you putting into, you know, your network? Or again, in my head, I was thinking ecosystem. What part do you play, rather than what are you extracting from it? And so that was the main sort of pivot point for me in talking to entrepreneurs who were looking for some kind of advice, or who were tapping into some of the leadership suggestions that they had curated over time. And network remained really central and important, but how that network operated was the thing I think needed to be shaped. And so as I started asking entrepreneurs, what their value or their role is to their ecosystem, it spawned a good amount of thinking about what they can bring to these partners. Like, what am I doing for them, and how would I be of more use if they in fact are highly relevant collaborators for me? And potentially, when we talk about building a network, we're thinking about essentially building a bank, sometimes of humans or human capital that will help you. Whether it's help you in the zombie apocalypse or help you get a next job or an investment, isn't always totally clear, but I think that is the idea. So ecosystem for me means that it's an active network, that you understand your role, that hopefully every stakeholder understands their role, and that those roles, when played well, make the overall ecosystem significantly healthier, more healthy. And an ecosystem needs to be tended. It needs to be, as you said, it needs to be cultivated, curated, stewarded. And I think it has a different resonance for some entrepreneurs than the idea of just build as many touch points as you can. So I'll pause there and see.
Yeah, no, I think that's fascinating. You know, you think of an ecosystem, and I often think of like threads that kind of come off from a spool. Or I used to, whenever I used to fly, one of the things I always enjoyed, I would flip to the back of the in-flight magazine and look at the route map. And you see all of the, well, here's the hub, right? But look at where all the places they can go from that, and follow those lines all the way through that route map, and come back. You know, one of the things too you think about is oftentimes, and it's what you just said, what can I give to somebody else?
Yeah.
So it's the old golden rule: better to give than receive, right? What can I help somebody else work with? Well, not even so much me. Do I know the right person to then direct you to? And that's the beauty, I think, of the ecosystem is, you may not know the answer per se, but you have a pretty good idea who might, right? And trying to then get that person to kind of, you know, come back then and say, well, here's somebody I really think you should meet. Here's what, you know, he or she's looking to do, and I think you would be a perfect complement for that. So I think when you think of network, sometimes it's more stagnant.
Yes.
It's a list perhaps of well, okay, here's all my connections. Yeah. However, I'm a big believer in what you said about nurturing, being faithful to that system, right? Having those check-ins with people from time to time, not just when something comes up, but just, you know, just whether it's, hey, how did you just survive the snowstorm, or how about hope your football team won, or whatever the case may be, and kind of then getting that network to come back. You know, when you look at industries and how they try to accelerate innovation, and you know, and for any business, you hit that point where it's, you know, that disruption piece. How are you going to withstand disruption, right? And you look at the ecosystem, and you look at that support system there. But you know, one of the things it needs to be is sustainable, right? You have to make sure that ecosystem that you have, that group of folks, businesses, all those stakeholders, is sustainable. But, you know, as any business or any entrepreneur, how about monetizing it? How do you, any thoughts, Sam, on trying to, how do you sustain a profit stream from that?
Yeah. Well,
if at all possible.
Well, I mean, I do think that when I contemplate, you know, building a network and investing in a network, be it, you know, referencing it as a network or an ecosystem, it usually is indicating that you're doing so to achieve a business goal. You could be networking within your child's school or within your sort of alumni community. But I think when we talk about building a network, and when I talk about building an ecosystem for your business, we are thinking about an end goal that is related to monetary success. So I think that's fine. And I don't think that there's any reason to shy away from that this is a deliberate ecosystem of human resource or human capital that you're going to manage as a resource, you as an entrepreneur, and that you're going to maintain its health, its activity in a very deliberate fashion, so that you can pull on those different elements or those different sort of pivot points in your ecosystem when you need not just help, but when you need a contact, when you need an investment, when you need an introduction to an investment community. So the network is there for the purpose of advancing a business objective. If that objective is monetization, I would simply say, or generating revenue at top of funnel, I would say that you want to ensure that the participants in your ecosystem have access to capital or to revenue, and have a reason to spend it with you, or that they're adjacent to, maybe one click away from, a decision maker who can be a driver of monetary outcomes. So the way I do that, and something that's just a broader piece of advice that I would contemplate myself when we're building our real partnerships. We say partnership a lot, but within my business, if we're working with like a vendor, everybody's a vendor or a client. That's very sort of bifurcated. There's only two options there. If it's a vendor, they're selling me stuff. If it's a client, I'm selling them stuff, which I think is leans on the transactional roles. There's only really two lanes, and I think it's a missed opportunity if we contemplate our vendors just as someone who sells us something, and our clients as just somebody who we sell something to. So as I look at our own vendors, I think, okay, this vendor also works with 4 other companies who I would like to have as clients, for example, or this vendor is populated by is run by a person who I share a board seat with at the ad council or somewhere else. We are like-minded on the opportunity for a purpose to play a role in advertising. So I would look at not just the vendor as like, what's the best price I can get when I'm buying goods and services, but rather what's the overall network effect and true value generation I can extract from this partner who is selling me things. Because whenever they're selling me things, they want something back from me. Whenever I'm selling things, I likewise have that commitment to deliver value back. And so I think if we contemplate the value, not just as the transaction, the monetary transaction, but rather the bigger opportunities that will keep, if we look out 18 months, 24 months, 5 years. And so sometimes I'll ask my management team, like, if you make a selection, like, we're going to work with this particular vendor, I'll say, okay, why? And if all I hear is like better price, I won't be impressed, but B, I would probably think, okay, what is their industry specialty? What is their product better, but also who else do they serve with their product? What other value opportunity do we have between ourselves and this, vendor? Clients, same thing. We try to always invest back into our clients, those who are buying things with us, whether it's, looking to them for, when we have one strong value exchange in our ecosystem is jobs. So oftentimes clients of ours have layoffs, or they might, they have people in their organizations who are looking for jobs. I always make sure I send, not resumes. I do exchanges of job openings that we have with some of our key partners, not to say I'm recruiting you and your team to come work here, but rather to show that, like, we're not just in this for the next 3 minutes of, transaction. We're actually in it to say, we think you have value. We all work in media and technology, and there might be opportunities down the road. It's also a good way to signal that, we're a source for job opportunity. And I think that changes your perspective a little bit. The other kinds of value we can deliver to our clients are additional leads for their business, additional insights. Certainly being of value and like fun and likable is something people, I think, in the business will always contemplate as a requisite element of client service. I think of it more as like, you've got friends, we can be fun, but what are your true pain points in life? Because I'd rather spend time, helping you think about your kids' choice of college or where to get your niece an internship than kind of getting your nails done or having drinks. So, so I guess I would say in terms of monetization, being really deliberate about who you're investing in, because a full network, you could have a network of thousands and thousands of people who could buy things with you or with whom you could generate a strong margin business. But if they don't trust you, respect you, like you, they're not going to show up for you. So I would really look at the value exchange and never think of anyone as just client or just vendor, but rather as what role, again, they play in this larger ecosystem so that you're serving sort of the whole opportunity.
Yeah, I like that. You think of relationships, and an ecosystem kind of lends itself to the word relationship as opposed to just somebody I know, right? And then understanding, transactions are going to happen, but nobody wants to be in a relationship that's purely transactional,
right?
Because that's limited. That's kind of short-sighted. As you said, you're not looking out 12 or 18 months. It could be kind of almost like a cul-de-sac or a dead end kind of thing when you come up against it. But having, and I get that a lot sometimes with people. They'll be asking, "Oh, can you get me an internship?" It's like, okay, well, let's have a conversation first. Yeah, okay, thanks for sending me your resume, but I don't really know anything about you. So like that's one of the steps I always do. I always go make sure I have a conversation. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's try to get to understand a little bit more about who you might be and the types of experiences you have, and where my ecosystem can then be helpful.
Yeah, and on those, I get a lot of requests for like coffee. I'm sure you do too. And I've actually gotten a little bit more intentional about how to respond to those, because it's often a college student or a former employee who's trying to work out their career or find opportunities. Typically, that's the subject matter in all these cases. And it got to a point where I had so many coffees that I was really like starting to just not have time for my employees. And so I said, like, give me answer 3 questions for me ahead of coffee. Like, what is your goal? Because we love each other great. You babysat my kids, or I'm friends with your parent, or we went to the same college. And I get that that's the theoretical inflection point here, but really, what is your goal? How do you think I can be of use to that? And then I'd say anything else. So that caused them to think, okay, my goal is to get a job. How can you be of use? I don't know. I just know you have a job. So I was like, well, let's filter me out, because then I'm not a great setup for you. Because if we have coffee and we come out of it and I feel like I don't know what you want, like I don't have a role in this ecosystem, then, unfortunately, I will feel like my time has been wasted. And also I'll feel like I didn't succeed in delivering something to you, which is not, for many of us who are trying to use our time for impact, that would be an unsatisfying feeling. So, so I would say, even in the case of getting to know some of these entrepreneurs and up and coming professionals, hopes and dreams, I do also need to know what they expect of me in that. And I love it when they're direct, when it's like, I want this. Or this could also be people in my network who have been introduced by other friends, other colleagues who are looking for funding. Like, they might say, okay, I'm looking for funding. And I'm like, I don't even know anything about your product. I don't know that I believe that you're a good entrepreneur. Why would I make an intro? This is not the mean way I would say it, but why would I make an intro and sort of put my reputation on the docket if I don't know that you're going to show a great performance and build trust between me and the member of the ecosystem I'm introducing you to? So there's the one is, what do you need from me? Like, or what can I do for you? So that it's not a waste of time, nor does it have to be transactional. It's just direct. And then secondly, how do I trust that the work I'm going to do, if I'm taking you kind of outside of my own zone, is going to yield value back to that person whose time I'm asking for. So that's the favor pass along. And I think LinkedIn has made this such a scaled opportunity that it's because I think network has really lost a lot of its value by virtue of being so friction free. Like, I don't know the vast majority of people on LinkedIn connected to, which is okay. it's like a Rolodex. But when people reach out and say, could you introduce me to this person, you're linked to them, I'm like, I don't know that person. They don't know me, probably. This is not going to be a warm intro of any sort. Where when you do a real warm intro, and I'm taking a person who's worked for me or who I've worked with, who's I have great faith in, and I want to introduce her to a VC who's specifically investing in femtech. That is the sell I can really make, because I like and respect both of these members of my ecosystem. They trust me not to, waste their time on either front. That's when the really vibrant networking can come up, is when you really, the link you're asking for has the three things for me are like, trust, and respect. And I think like is important. You have to like them. But if you've got those three with the both of these bolts in the ecosystem, then you can be of great use. Now put me to work as your best ambassador. So yeah, I think that the over, just as you were saying, talking with people and making sure that you understand sort of the value proposition, it is really important to me to be if I'm going to be good at selling you or introducing you or counseling you, you need to give me some information first.
Yeah, help me to help you, right? Kind of give me something to work with. Again, people look at people's profiles and things and come back and say, okay, you know what I'm about. What do you think? And it's okay, I think, to ask them back too.
Yeah.
What do you think I can do for you?
Yeah.
Given the people I know and some of the arrangements along those lines, where can I come back and be helpful to you? Because then you move from transactional to maybe transformational.
Yeah.
And that becomes, isn't that everybody's ideal kind of,
yeah,
maybe end goal, depending again from the entrepreneurial cycle where you might be, what might be the need, and the like. I mean, you kind of talking about really, I mean, you're looking at leveraging your own alliances, your own partnerships, your own investments as best you can in trying to help people. And when you're dealing with young entrepreneurs or emerging businesses and things, obviously that it's going to take some tailoring, right? Mm-hmm. They have to kind of be aware of their own circumstances. We may, we're in probably uncertain times at the moment, as we continue to, wait on every economic report that comes out or whatever may come next. But at the end of the day, it's that infrastructure that you've created through your ecosystem, hopefully is going to be able to withstand the test of the times and the challenges that we're in. And if you're good enough from a nurturing standpoint, these aren't just transactional, oh yeah, well, I'm connected to them, but there's really a warmth, right? Or a trust or a respect there. And certainly a likability for sure. Now, how about what comes next for SheMedia? How about a couple of thoughts just on SheMedia and some of your own reflections?
Well, so we are in the wide world of digital media. We focus on women's lifestyle content. We run a full what we call our collective, which is also a network, but we run a collective of independent websites so that we are able to help thousands of independent content creators monetize their work. So that's a great scale model. What's hard to scale is the intimacy element of serving, thousands of up and coming or independent publishers, big bloggers, social content creators. What I'm struggling with right now is adjacent, or it's sort of a nice parallel to this, is how do we ensure that our value generation for these small businesses is something that we can scale so we can serve them more consistently, more equitably, and while also generating more and more members of this collective. It is really hard to scale intimacy or to scale deep connection. Like, I can only speak to myself, so many members of the collective or of our network of sites to understand their problems and to apply solutions and make the introductions, again, that will hopefully yield the outcomes that will build their business. Our businesses build together, which is perfect in terms of talking about an ecosystem. But my struggle right now is, how do I ensure that 2,000 different small businesses are getting custom attention and custom tech solutions? And where do I have to cut off and say, this partner within our collective, we can't spend time on them. They're not generating enough revenue for our company, which also means they're not generating profit for their own company. And unfortunately, I can't speak to them every day. I tend to get attached to some of the creators who actually don't have big businesses, but who I think should have big businesses because they have wonderful voices or subject matter. But I have to figure out a way that we can maintain the growth of my company with the growth of these small businesses, or else I can't justify spending the time. And so what I'm trying to do is simultaneously apply our team with the best of our different, many genius people who work at SheMedia, ensure that like our head of marketing is available at just the right times for these top partners. Our head of sales is giving consistent feedback with a knowledge of their business. Our head of e-com is doing XYZ work. Our editorial directors are providing unit economics direction for edit, but again, to thousands of sites. So you have to figure out where your similarities are, where I can batch sites. It's sort of trying to build operationalize something that's very high touch. So I'd say that is one of my biggest areas of focus right now. And it's a fun challenge because it's a lot of what we're talking about. It's like, they might know my name and have my email, but they don't, the people who stick around feel that they have a real investment from our company. And that investment, we have to ensure that that's actually that's yielding results, or else we're just working with the people we like best. And that's often not the biggest, clients or sites. So scaling the intimacy that we deliver and scaling custom attention is one of my big challenges. We're also in a very strong kind of M&A space. It's a lot of consolidation in media. Our parent company recently bought Dick Clark Productions and made a significant investment in Vox Media. So we are looking at all the ways that we can plug in we run all the women's lifestyle business for Penske Media, which is our owner. And we're looking at how we can quickly bring in additional assets and brands without disrupting the really productive work we're doing under our current owned and operated brands. So a lot of integration and stretching and growing without losing the high touch intimacy that you can build and trust that you can build when you have more time for each human or each brand or each partner. So I'm probably in the throes of this right now. Actually,
it's exciting times. It's challenging, and technology is wonderful. But at the end of the day, the touch part becomes just as important. And your own ecosystem, your own people you're working with, they're going to know when it's a tailored discussion as opposed to they're reading off of some preset idea, and that comes through. So nurturing again and being part of that and being a support system for them is so important. Funny you say Dick Clark Productions. It brings me back 35 years ago when I worked in public accounting. I did the American Music Awards.
Oh, those are ours now.
Back in the day, we did the thankless job of the ballots.
Oh wow! Oh my God, that's so hardcore.
But nonetheless, it was kind of fun to always call Dick Clark's office and then read the nominees. And
wow, yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are legendary awards. I mean, we're excited.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today and kicking things off. Wonderful job. SheMedia sounds like it's an exciting place to be. You're helping so many people, and thanks for really taking us through the distinctions here with ecosystems and how about building strong and vibrant ones. So we thank you for your time today. Of course. And everybody, so Sam Skey, from CEO of SheMedia, thanks for joining Young Entrepreneurs of the World.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Take care.
See you next time.